Hello everybody and welcome back to another CB Show Tunes tutorial. Now today's tutorial we are going to be covering the spawning of game objects inside of our game. And so we will have the script inside of our comment section below. We will also have the obstacle control script as well inside the comment section below. So let's go ahead and hop into the demo real fast so you can see what we got here. So we have objects that we can hop over, objects we can slide through, and of course objects that can push us off screen. We have the ability to slow down how fast this goes, how long the level lasts, and so on. And of course we could set it up to where we can have as many levels as we want. So I'm going to show you what we have inside the inspector first, and then of course we'll move into our actual script. Okay, so inside our last tutorial, we created this, I believe it was our last tutorial, we created this game manager. And if you have this game manager, that's awesome. If you don't, you can go and create an empty game object and then call it game manager. Then of course you will need to add, say for instance, a spawn point that you want to have your game objects spawn at. That's just something that we have inside the hierarchy. Just make sure that you have that as well. And that's an empty game object. Okay, so inside our spawn obstacle script, you have several different things we have over here. We have our current level. We have a basically variable, an array that we have set up to where we can expand the. Say for instance, we might make 4 levels. Now we can have 4 different levels instead of just 3 levels. I'm gonna leave it at 3 for now. But we can adjust this to as many levels as we want it to be. Now we don't have an ending to levels just yet. We're going to be covering that in a later tutorial, but for now this will work. Okay, so inside each individual level you're going to have the level name. We'll mess with that later on, but it allows us to be able to distinguish what level this is for. So it changes this array name to level 1. We also have our spawn rate, and if you hover your mouse over it, it's going to say time it takes to spawn. So I set this to about 3. You could set it to as little as you want. It just depends on how fast you want the objects to spawn together. The next thing that we need to do is have a random chance. Now with this random chance, how it works is that depending on how many game objects you have inside the spawnable items down here, which we'll cover later, it basically takes that and then decides how and what object we're going to be running through. So just keep in mind that does need to match these spawnable items. Of course we have our time of our level, and I put this to 60. You could set it to whatever you want it to be. And of course the obstacle speed. And of course we can adjust these with every single level. So see right there. We're going to go close up the level thing right now. Yeah. Okay, so as you can see now we have our spawn point. It's a transform. So just drag your spawn point that you have in the hierarchy onto that spawn point. We also have, like I said, the spawnable items. You can increase or decrease this. So you could set it to 2. You could set it to 6. You could set it to whatever you want it to be. And then you could just add as many items as you want. And then of course we have our current obstacle speed. This we do not need to actually adjust. It will automatically adjust within this rate right here as obstacle speed. That was just so we could actually access it inside our obstacle control script. Okay, so for our game objects, so if we head over to this folder I created called Prefab, you're going to see 2 different sprites. Now these are just normal sprites. As you can see, we have them just sitting there. And all I did with the building sprite is I created a empty game object, and then of course I dragged the sprite onto the screen and then right on top of that. Now the reason why we have a game object set up as the object is because we want to be able to adjust this position. So whenever we're spawning at the spawn point, we don't want this building to spawn with its origin at that location. We want this empty game object to have its origin at the location, and then of course our sprite at whatever location we want it to be. I hope that is understandable. I mean, it sounds very complicated, but it's very easy. Okay, on this building object, I really just created a simple box collider and then just put it at the top because we already have the ground collider set up already. If you followed along us at our previous tutorial, you had that ground collider set up already. With this building collider, all we need to do is set up the collider for the top part. So if our character hits it, then it will not go through it. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Now, what we also need to do is we need to attach a rigid body 2D to this, so it will actually carry our player along with it. We set our body type to kinematic. We have a collision detection as continuous, and of course we just left everything else the same. And of course we have obstacle control on it, basically allowing us to move our object. And make sure that you do set the order in layer to 1 for the sprite render. And if you don't know what the order in layer does, simply put, if I put it this at a -1, it goes behind the player. Well, if I put it at 1, it goes in front of the player. And if I put it at 0, it's just going to be default. So yeah, I would just put it at 1 for now, or 10, or whatever you want it to be. So yeah. Alright, so once you make that into a prefab, you could just drag it into your prefab folder, then go back over to your game manager, and then just drag that onto your spawnable item. Pretty cool. And we did the same thing essentially with this box. Now, with this box, I did not actually add a game object for it, or an empty game object for it, mainly because I was just being lazy, and I really didn't need to. But you can simply attach that game object as well. And of course, we have everything else set up the same way. So on. Cool. And the last thing we did with this is I did actually have to adjust my player's rigid body by just freezing the rotation on the rigid body. I found it was like rotating my character everywhere, and it was just horrible. So if you didn't adjust it inside our last tutorial, make sure that you do that. Alright, let's go and hop into the script real fast so I can show you how things work. And then of course, we can go and end the video. Alright, at the top you can see to ensure that everything is working properly, make sure to follow this rule. Set random chance less than or equal to spawnable items. So, pretty self-explanatory. We have all the information that we covered inside of our inspector. Of course, on start we have everything load up. During update, we have what runs per level. We have the reduced time over level, reduced time over the object, basically the spawn time. Then, of course, we have the instantiate phase right here. And, of course, lastly, we have the public class called level that we're calling at the top of the script. So, yeah. Now, I may make some changes to this and then, of course, post that inside the scripts or inside the comment section below for your convenience. But yeah. Alright, that's about it for this tutorial. And I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you can use this script that I've just developed. And of course, if you have any questions regarding this tutorial or any other tutorials that I've done, make sure that you leave a comment in the comment section below. I'll be happy to answer that. If you have something you want me to add to this game, make sure that you leave that comment inside the comment section below as well. Don't forget to like, subscribe, check out some other my videos, and I'll see you guys next time.